Hey, everybody, welcome to the DK and Bill Wrestling Podcast. I'm Bill,
I'm DK.
and today we are going to have some fun because we're going to go back in the time machine, I guess we can say, to review the 1994 Royal Rumble, which was voted upon by you, the fans. And it actually, I believe, was our best voting yet.
I think so. It's pretty close to the Ultimate Warrior Earthquake. But since
Mhm.
we had the four options, you could pick two. So I think that's probably has the most votes
Yeah.
that we've ever had, which is exciting. And we we did the poll, and we were going to do two shows.
Hmm.
Not sure how that's going to go now. We'll talk about that
might
later.
we might be able to. Actually, you know what? I was going to wait till later, but I'll mention it now. We had almost 30 votes on our Facebook group. Rumble 94 was the winner, which is the one we're going to do.
Mhm.
Followed by Rumble 98, then 90, then 2008. So it really wasn't a big blowout. It was actually a lot closer for second. So
Yeah, and I gotta celebrate here. Both of my picks, one and two. I don't think that's ever happened. Now, 98 and 90 were very close.
yeah,
I,
like one vote separated the
yeah, I
both of them.
think 98 ended up taking a small lead at the end there. But I really thought when I put the two I picked were 94 and 98. I
Mm-hmm.
really thought 98 would get a little bit more love with following our Montreal Screwjob episode because it's kind of
Right.
like chronological. And plus,
Yeah.
it's I know Stone Cold won the 97 Rumble, but the 98 Rumble's kind of like his coming out to be the
Mm-hmm.
man
Yeah.
coming off that injury, and Brett's gone, and Steve Austin is the number one guy at this point. So
Like,
I kind of thought that would get a little bit more love, but 94 is fun. Um, I watched the show about a week ago. I got some notes here, so I'm looking forward to breaking it down with you, man.
honestly, you could not have gone wrong with any of those four. You
Yeah,
really couldn't. So good job to our Facebook members on this one. Like I said, this is like the closest voting I think we've had to this point. So
and it does seem like the older shows get more of the votes.
mhm.
Maybe they just like to go back in time. Like I know 98 is only 4 years later, but it seems like 94 is like so much older than 98
Yeah.
when it comes to that era.
And I do want to mention before we go further, starting with this review today, we're going to do something new that I mentioned to DK. He was fine with it. I'm going to save it as a little bit of a surprise. It's not a big thing, but it's still kind of fun to look back and see. So, um, before we get into, the review, we do have to talk about the passing of Jay Briscoe this past Tuesday. I know for me that came as a big shock because um I'm a Ring of Honor guy. The Briscoes have been there from basically the beginning. And when the details came in, it was like 38 years old. He was taking his daughters to cheerleader practice.
Hmm.
And I think there was a report that they had gone the previous weekend from a competition in North Carolina. And then Tuesday happened. Um I was just in a complete shock for me.
Yeah, and it's just like you always want to hug your loved ones every
Mm-hmm.
time you leave the house because you don't know if it's going to be the last time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's devastating news for the wrestling community. And I believe as of right now, his daughters are in one daughter's in stable condition and one's in critical.
Yeah.
And I don't know
they
like
haven't
when this will be posted, so that we're recording this on Thursday evening. So
yeah,
hopefully everything goes okay with that and they're able to fight their way through.
they
But
haven't said which one, but one of them was having back surgery and feared that that one might not walk ever again,
yeah,
which is a scary thought.
the only update I saw was from the mom of the kids.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I don't know how accurate that story is. So I don't want
Um,
to say anything about it, but
yeah,
basically it's a horrible situation and hopefully hopefully the kids are okay.
yeah, because
And yeah.
the police, the Delaware police, came out with a report yesterday of what happened, and basically there was another driver who was trying to get in the lane or get in the road, and they just met head on. She was wearing a seatbelt, he was not wearing a seatbelt, and both drivers are dead, which is a shame at any time.
Yeah.
And Jay Briscoe, from all the tweets from everyone, was a fun loving guy, was a family guy. I do want to mention that their family has started a fundraising campaign on a website called givesendgo.com. Now, earlier in the day, their goal was $50,000. In less than a day, and this just goes to show you that there are still people here in this world that are good, caring people. They have had to change the amount from $50,000 to $200,000. And at the time of this recording, they have raised over $138,000 from over 1,000 donations. And this is to help out the family, which is fantastic. It just is fantastic. Um, the Young Bucks donated $20,000 for this. Cody and his wife Brandy donated $1,000. I was trying to see, like if there were others, but I haven't checked in a while. But yeah, this is really going to help the family in a
Yeah, I'm
large
sure they'll
way.
keep coming in, like similar to the Damar Hamlin thing that happened.
Yeah,
And that ended up being a happy story at the end with all the donations. So, yeah, hope maybe we can get the link for that charity and we can share it.
yeah, absolutely. I will
Even
definitely
if you
do.
can donate like $1,
Yeah, five.
$5,
Yeah,
like
whatever amount.
the amount of money you would spend on a pop and bag of chips at the store, just
Yeah,
every little bit helps. So,
exactly. So yeah, I will put the link up in the description on both the video and the podcast of this, and I'll put it in our Facebook group if anyone wants to donate money. You do not have to, but if you want to, I'll put the link up so you guys can go
yeah,
help
that'd
out.
be great. I
Yeah,
will I will definitely be donating
yeah, I will as
once
well.
the link comes up.
I will as well.
So if all you guys can match, that'd be fantastic.
Well, I know one thing. If Jay Briscoe was still alive, he'd want us to talk about this show, and that is what we're going to do. We're going to review the 1994 WWF Royal Rumble, which again was voted upon by you, the fans. And before we get into everything, this is going to introduce to a possible new segment for our reviews. And that is because there's going to be no catchy name to it. I'm just going to be straight up with you all.
Sure, we can come
Um,
up with something.
yeah. What were other promotions doing the day of the pay-per-view? So this will be basically like I had said to DK, okay, I'll check WCW, ECW. But I also have some Smoky Mountain here, and I want to thank or I'm using the history of WWE.com. Richard Land, who I know, fantastic guy. He's been working on reviving the website. He's done a tremendous job. He actually has a GoFundMe campaign going on right now, where you can help him with your donations. Boy, we're talking about donations a lot today.
Yeah.
Restore lost audio clips of the WWF from the 1970s. Like the footage is gone. Like there's no footage, but he has the audio. And if you like, I donated 25 pounds, which was $30 here in the US. Help him out. He's reached the halfway mark. So please go check it out, and I'll put that link up in our group as well. So, January 22nd, 1994, WCW has no show that day. Their next show would be 5 days later for a Clash of the Champions event.
So they had like a Friday pay per view.
No, this is a Saturday pay-per-view.
Oh, okay.
ECW had no show that day. They wouldn't have a show until February, or at least that's what I have here.
Okay.
However, Smoky Mountain Wrestling did have a show that day. It was in Johnson City, Tennessee, at the Freedom Hall with a decent sized crowd, 750 people. That's a pretty good crowd. The results from this show: Anthony Michaels defeated the Hornet. Bobby Blaze defeated Killer Kyle. Tracy Smothers defeated Chris Candido. Tom Pritchard and Jimmy Del Rey, the Heavenly Bodies, defeated the Rock and Roll Express by disqualification. That was for the Smoky Mountain Tag Team titles. Brian Lee defeated the Dirty White Boy to stay the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Champion. And your main event was a Battle Royal, which was won by the Dirty White Boy. Actually, it was a Smoky Mountain Rumble on that one.
The Dirty White Boy coming out with the victory there.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he got the winner's share of the purse in that Battle Royal. So that is what happened outside of the WWF on January 22nd. So,
I like that segment. I want to tell you that. I love the idea. I think once we get further and it's like all on a Sunday or something, there might be like a lot of stuff to talk about in that. Now, I don't know how often WCW and WWE had pay-per-views on the same day. They probably scheduled it so they didn't have to compete on pay-per-view, but we can always it doesn't have to be that day to be like which January pay-per-view, like which one was better, the 94 Royal Rumble or the Clash of the Champions.
Right.
We can almost do something like that too. But I wanted to let you know that, I do like that idea and be good going forward.
Yeah, and maybe we'll let you guys come up with the name of the segment. Okay, so real quick. This was held in the Providence Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island. Sold out crowd, 14,500 was the attendance, with $160,000 gate, which is not bad for 1994.
Yeah.
200,000 was the buy rate for the pay-per-view, so that would be a 0.9. Compared to last year, the 93 Rumble, which had a 1.25 buy rate. So a little bit low on that. Attendance, the venue's a little bit smaller, so we
Yeah.
can't penalize the fine people of Providence for that.
And I do think the buy rate near the end of 93 to 94, like Hogan's gone now,
Yeah.
and they're kind of transitioning into a different era where I think they're trying to make Lex Luger the next one still at this point. And, some of the Hogan fans may have gotten turned off here. They're looking for that next big star. The Warriors and the Hogans are gone. Randy Savage is still around, but he's kind of near the end of his run too.
Yeah.
So I think that had something to do with maybe the 93 Rumble having a little bit better numbers. But I'd like to throw that in there.
Yeah. We did have a dark match before the Rumble.
We sure did.
Boy, what a doozy.
I wish they put these dark matches on the network where you could watch them.
I thought, okay,
because I heard, like, when I looked on Wikipedia, I saw the dark match. And I'm like, man, wish I could have seen this.
I thought, like, during the countdown, and maybe I'll have to try to find the countdown. They had bits and pieces of this match. They didn't air the match, obviously. Yeah. They had bits and pieces. The Brooklyn Brawler beat Jim Powers.
Yeah, you heard that right, folks. Beat.
Yes.
Brooklyn Brawler had his hand raised here to get the crowd going here. 14,000, probably like 6,000 in their seats at this point, but still big win for the Brawler.
Now, there was one other thing that I remember as a kid, because I told DK I saw the show as a kid, so I remember strangely during the countdown, and again, I have to find this on YouTube if it's there. Todd Pettingill interviews a group of people in a jacuzzi. I want to say that happened.
Todd Pettingill. We got to do a show on Todd Pettingill.
That would be a fun episode.
I don't know how popular he is. We could maybe get him on the show. I'm going to send him a message.
Yeah, let's do that. Do like a little Q&A.
Because, eventually we will get to that point where we have wrestlers on this show. Hopefully. Like right now we just talk about it's two fans reminiscing and debating on wrestling, which is awesome, and I love it. But I think we will get to that point where we will have wrestlers on this show.
I'd love
and then
that.
we will debate them and see how that goes. They might tell us to F off and leave the video before it starts recording. So who knows?
Exactly. But, all right. Well, with all that said, let's get right into this show. So Vince McMahon welcomes us to the show, and he's there by himself.
Like, what's happening?
So we should mention Bobby Heenan is gone. He left in December.
Yeah.
And this is actually a few days before he makes his WCW debut. So Heenan's gone. Lawler is still in that lawsuit with the girl.
Yeah.
We're not gonna really go into.
We're not gonna talk about that.
No.
Allegedly.
Gorilla Monsoon is doing Radio WWF with Jim Ross, which
let's go back. Like radio. Okay. I listen to like football games or hockey games on the radio if I can't watch them if I'm working or something. But have you ever listened to WWF radio? And is it similar? Like, if somebody is listening to this, can you please comment or reach out to me and tell me how it is? If they actually explain like what's happening and if it's good to listen to radio.
Richard, I think you have some audio of Radio WWF. I think you do. You gotta send us the link so we can hear it. Yes,
please.
Richard Land, that's your job.
If they had like an audio version of like a WrestleMania, I would listen to that. And
I
then
think they did at WrestleMania 10.
like I've listened to, like I've seen like every WrestleMania like a few times each, so I could probably be able to picture it when I was
Mhm.
listening to the audio. But
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting if you hadn't seen the event and you were just listening to radio. Did you say Jim Ross and Gorilla?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe based on
That
this
that's
event,
what
maybe we should have listened to the radio version. But
oh
we'll get
man.
into that probably right now. $1 Million Man.
Yes.
What?
Makes his return.
Yeah,
He had
kind of
left and
a
then retired at this time. So he's going to be our color man for the night.
yeah, because he doesn't really wrestle anymore after this, right?
No, he has retired.
Okay, but he's still there, and then he's like a manager in
Mm-hmm.
'95, I think. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what he does for the rest of '94. Now I know there's a thing with the fake Undertaker that he does
Yeah.
in SummerSlam here of this year.
Which
So
maybe we get to that at some point. Maybe.
I think that's the greatest cage match with no blood.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we've talked about it before. We talked about it in our Owen episode, which is on YouTube, because this like one of the first episodes we did. We weren't even doing it on the other platforms. So if you
I
go to YouTube and type in DK and Bill Wrestling Podcast Owen Hart, that's how you can find it. And I think it's one of our best shows.
I strangely have a number 2 on that category. I'm just gonna say real quick, Savage and DiBiase, Madison Square Garden, where a kid gets involved. I'm not kidding. If you've never seen it,
I
a
think you sent me
kid,
that clip before. I think you told me the story when we
yeah,
talked about the Owen thing last time.
yeah, because this kid just hops the rail, climbs the
I'm
cage.
going there. This is why, like, when my dad used to take me to Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto,
mm-hmm.
like, that's where we lived when I was a kid.
He
And
lived in
this
the
is
Maple Leaf
probably
Garden.
why he didn't like have us sit close. But we're always like kind of second level, because I probably would have climbed in there and like smacked the Warrior with a steel chair or something. And then he probably would have told me off and hit me with a clothesline because he was such a prick.
My
Yeah.
dad didn't buy front row. Well, I didn't go to many as a kid, but my dad, he didn't buy any because we
Yeah.
couldn't really afford it. So, but we had good seats. But that's another
We
story.
always tried to go to the matches when they came to town. But probably why I'm such a fan now. So
Yeah. Well, let's get into the action. So our first match is Tatanka against Bam Bam Bigelow. Now, originally, and they do say it in the commentary,
yeah,
it was originally going to be Tatanka against Ludwig Borga. However, the week of the show, they had a house show in Madison Square Garden, and Borga messed up his ankle. Like, I think it got broken,
yep,
and that's his last appearance. He never comes back. So we never get
yeah.
Tatanka getting his revenge for Borga being the one to end his undefeated streak.
And it's one of my all-time wrestling regrets that we didn't get more Ludwig Borga here.
I
But
thought he was a good heel in 93.
yeah, he was. Yeah. So Bam Bam he's the replacement here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like when I first started watching, I couldn't remember if Tatanka had done that heel turn yet, but it happens in the summer of this year.
Later
So
in the
he's
year.
still a good guy here. And you know what the interesting part of this match is? This is the first time he doesn't have the red in his hair.
That's right.
And I was doing some research, and he stopped doing that because the paint was like making his hair fall out, I guess.
Oh no.
so Tatanka, he didn't have the red, but he was still.
Oh,
What do you think of
quick.
Tatanka? I was not a big fan of Tatanka as a kid.
Real quick, to stay with Tatanka real quick.
Sure.
He was in the news because he had been invited to Raw this coming Monday night for the 30th anniversary, and he turned it down because he was going with his son to a wrestling tournament. So, props to Tatanka for putting family over the business.
Okay.
I liked as a kid. I liked Tatanka.
Yeah.
I thought he was a good, agile, guy, very competitive. I
Yeah. I
didn't
don't know.
mind.
He didn't that like I don't know, like it's hard to remember back then, but I don't think I liked him that much. But I might be thinking of the $1 Million Corporation Tatanka.
Ah, that version, yeah,
And that guy sucked. So maybe I liked him earlier here.
yeah. Um, I'll be honest. This match, and I'm not gonna like put a lot of blame on this one. It felt kind of rough
Yeah.
because I guess like the match just got put together, so I
Mhm.
can't like I'm not gonna be like terribly harsh on the match. I liked the ending where they both go for like a cross body block and they hit each other. And then like a moment or two later, Bigelow tries for the moonsault, misses. Tatanka hits the cross body off the top rope to get the 3 in the win. I liked that ending. I thought
Yeah.
the ending was good. The match was just, yeah,
Honestly, like I think you might be criticizing it a little much here, but
Okay.
like it is what it was. Like Tatanka, Bigelow,
Yeah,
like you said, the match was thrown together last minute.
right,
Um,
right.
do, do you think when like a wrestler knows he's going to be in a Rumble later, he tries to maybe conserve some energy and maybe not put 100% of his mindset into like the singles match, the 8-minute singles match at the beginning of the show when they're gonna. I think Bigelow goes like 27 minutes in the Rumble. I'm not sure
I
about the
think
Tonka's number, but
I think it depends on when they enter.
yeah,
Like if they get an early number, then yeah, you want to save up your energy. So,
yeah.
um,
'Cause I don't know if they plan out every elimination, they might just call it in the ring and stuff. So like he might not have known he's going to be in the ring that long, but I think he
right.
was in it like mid 20s for sure, from what I remember.
Well, I mean, when we get to it, we'll definitely
Yeah, I just curious what you thought about that. But I'd probably give this like a C- for an opener.
actually
I didn't mind it.
we're not that far off. I gave it a D plus,
Okay.
so we're not that far
I,
apart.
I feel like I grade a little harder than you. So when you say it's it wasn't your favorite, and I say it was okay, sometimes they'll get the same grade.
But it wasn't. But it wasn't a terrible match. Let's just say
No,
that it was
no.
not terrible.
It
Like
was a perfect DK match, honestly. Like it wasn't too long. They got their
right,
stuff in. There I liked the finish, like you said. Like the heel missing the move and then
yeah.
Tatanka getting the crossbody for the win. So
All right. So after that, we spend what felt like 10 minutes, but I don't think it was, covering the Bret Hart Owen Hart saga and leading to this Rumble.
almost, I think it was longer than 10 minutes.
It
Honestly,
might have been.
the thing went quick.
So we'll give you like the 3 minute version or less. Survivor Series, Owen bumped Bret by accident. Owen was the only one eliminated from the team. He shoves Bret, and then they go into the I want to fight you, Bret. And then Bret's like, I don't want to fight you. And then they're like, oh, we made up. We
Yeah,
forgive each other.
over Christmas because that's what you do when you're family.
Yeah. And we're gonna challenge the Quebecers for the tag team titles at the Royal Rumble.
It's all Canadian violence. Like, what's up with that?
However, on Raw, the Quebecers lost the tag team titles to Marty Jannetty and the 1-2-3 Kid.
Yeah.
However, the following week, the Quebecers won the belts back. So now the match
Do you
is
think they
for
like
tag.
won it by mistake? Like, why would they have them?
That would have
Like,
been funny.
like I don't know. We'd have to maybe go back and see how they won. Like, maybe they won and they weren't supposed to. Like, why would they win and then
Right.
lose it on a house show just so they
So
go Backman.
Todd has an interview with Brennan Owen, and Owen's like, "This is the greatest day of my life. I'm gonna be a champion. I'm gonna be where you bring that all the way." So now we go for the WWF Tag Team Championship.
Yeah.
The Hearts against the Quebecers. And since you are a Canadian, DK, I'm going to let you take this one to start.
Okay. The one thing that I'm watching this match, I couldn't even get into Owen being a babyface because of how much of a heel he was for basically his entire career until pretty much the last year.
Yeah.
From like summer '98 to when he had the accident. That's what I noticed for most of the match. I thought the match was pretty good for what they were trying to do, but it seemed to drag on a little bit too much of Brett getting kind of beat down outside. Like I didn't think they had to do it as long, but obviously they were doing it so Owen could do the
right.
I don't even know if you call it a heel turn because he was I guess he was kind of like a baby face before this, and then when he kind of attacks Brett and kicks his leg out of his leg because that's what one of the, and when we get to the end, and I'm sure we're going to talk about the Owen Hart promo,
right?
I do have a question for you, but I did think this was a pretty good match for what they wanted to get out of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I thought it went a little long, but Brett sold like so good in this.
Oh my God, he did.
Like you're watching it, and I'm like, he's either really hurt or he's just phenomenal, and like it might have been both. I don't think he was hurt at all, but he sure sold that leg. So I'm gonna give this match a B plus. I liked the match, and a lot of me liking it was based on where they wanted to go, starting at this event and basically doing all of '94.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna admit this to people. I have not seen this match in a long time. I cannot remember the last time I saw this match. This was a really good match. It really was. The crowd was into it. They believed that Owen and Brett could win the belts.
Yeah.
At one point, and when I was watching it, I kind of thought about this because it's January of '94. There's a point in the match when Bret Hart takes the bump, out to the floor where he injures his leg. Yep. Jacques grabs Johnny Polo's golf club and hits him in the knee. I honestly was waiting for Vince to make a Nancy Kerrigan reference because that happened. That happened a few weeks prior to this event. The whole Nancy Kerrigan thing.
Yeah.
But it never happened. I liked
that would have been great.
That would have. Oh, he got hit like that figure skater.
Why?
Now Brett would have never done that.
No.
Like he would have sold a lot of things. He would have.
She's Canadian. Nancy Kerrigan. We love her.
So
Tanya.
I liked the end where the referee had to just stop the match.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't go against my, he's basically like, I got to go with what I'm feeling. Just stop the match. And then with Owen, kicking the leg, which was, and it actually got a little bit of a pop from some people. Like there were some, like it was a very small group, but it did.
I know I popped because Owen Hart is a heel. He's a great heel.
And then, and I shit you not, Owen won me on when he was walking back and he was yelling at the camera. He's like, all you had to do was tag, Brett. That's all you have to do. And I'm like, you know what? He's got a point. He actually has a point. And then he's like, you're just too selfish. You're too damn selfish. And then Vince McMahon loses it. And he's like, oh,
Yeah.
I can't believe he's not. But then where it gets even funnier is Brett's getting checked in the ring. And we're going to play a new drinking game called How Many Canadians Are in the Ring? So Bret Hart is in the ring. He's being checked on by Pat Patterson, Canadian. Also Billy Red Lions, Canadian. And then we get a report from Raymond Rougeau, Canadian.
A lot of French Canadians in there too.
Exactly.
Jesus.
And he's like, oh, how is he doing? And then you got Rene Goulet, who's French, so probably by default he's Canadian.
Yeah.
And then you got Tony Garea, who's from New Zealand, which Britain owned at one time, so by default he's Canadian as well.
Yeah, he's Canadian adjacent.
Yeah, so I'm like, there's too many Canadians in the ring.
This is where the 97 Bret started, probably. He was just like, the Americans wouldn't help him.
Well, Tim White was there.
Yeah, Tim White was there.
Tim White was a good guy.
Tim White is, I don't know where he's from, but
I think he's from Providence, actually.
Oh, wow. Hometown boy.
Yeah. And then Owen does the promo in the back with Todd saying, I kicked his leg out of his leg.
Yeah. And it became synonymous with Owen Hart.
And I think Todd asked him about, Bret's participation in the Rumble, and Owen's like, I don't care. I don't think he's even going to make it.
Oh, yeah. Daniel has tagged me.
All I had to do was tag. So
I was surprised when they did backstage stuff that they didn't.
It was very rare.
I don't know why they didn't tape it. Like,
you gotta do that.
I know, but then you have guys that say kick your leg out of your leg, and it's live and it's iconic now. But like, I bet you Vince was like at the because he was listening on the headset, he's probably just losing his mind.
So I have three thoughts. The first one is my match grade. Okay. I am with you. I gave this a B+.
Yeah,
it's
the best match on the card.
It is. It is. It really is. As far as the story goes for this show, that's an A+. They executed that to perfection. And then I had a third thought. And I actually thought this while watching the show. Because 94 is like, oh, Diesel, wins all three titles in the same year. Bret Hart has these great matches. I'd make a strong argument that Owen Hart was the MVP of 94 for the WWF. I'd make a strong argument.
That's why when we did the Owen Hart episode, I picked, this is when we're doing the years. I was like, we got to do 94 because it's the Owen Hart year.
It is. This is his breakout.
And unfortunately, 95, they could have kept going. And I think Vince just soured on the Bret and Owen story. And then then they had him as a tag team with Yokozuna in 95. Mm-hmm. So I think you could have had a Bret Owen feud for years and years, and you could have had Owen as the champion and Bret chasing him. But for some reason, they didn't want to do that. Now, did you know that it was actually Bruce Hart that came up with this storyline?
Yeah, I do.
And it was for himself.
Exactly.
Like Bret. And Bret's like, I'd rather do it with Owen. But that's a good idea. I always thought that was funny.
I think it's not only in Bret's book, but it's also in Bruce Hart's book. And yes, folks, Bruce Hart did write an autobiography.
Yeah. I haven't read Bruce Hart's autobiography. But
honestly, it's not that bad.
Okay, I'll check it out.
That's just me. Okay, so now we're going
there was one thing before you go ahead. It's kind of funny. Vince didn't like the story at the beginning. He's like, brothers don't fight, pal. They love each other.
Huh.
And then, like, I heard that on the Tom Pritchard or the Bruce Pritchard
Bruce
podcast,
Pritchard.
and he's like, I have four brothers and I don't talk to any of them.
Like,
We fight
if
all the
I
time.
could, if I could, I would bring my three nephews that live with me right now into this room, and we could probably just all say, "Oh yeah, they all fight with each other."
Yeah,
So,
they'd probably start having a Royal Rumble in the bedroom. Right
oh,
there.
we've had many Royal
Yeah,
Rumble, maybe none in
it
this room, but
happens.
in other places.
Sibling rivalry.
Oh yeah,
The like I know what we're gonna get to the next match, I promise, but um the Owen Hart jealousy over Big Brother Brett, it was like such a good storyline, and they could have kept going instead of ending at Survivor Series '94. But we'll get into the next match here now.
all right.
Oh, we both got B plus for this match.
Yeah, we both had a B plus. So, all right. So, we switch announcers. Gorilla Monsoon and Jim Ross join us for TV as Vince and Ted are on radio WWF.
Jesus Christ, they
Oh, I
switched.
would have loved, I would have loved to hear that one. Maybe it's a good thing that Vince and Ted are away because it is IRS against Razor Ramon for the Intercontinental title.
Yeah. What, you didn't like this match? Thought it was pretty good.
It was decent.
IRS was he's very underrated, I thought, in the ring.
He has his moments at times, like Survivor Series 91. Like,
yeah,
he was good in that. This one he was good at. I just felt like this match, for some reason, until close towards the end, dragged a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, this was a decent match. And then
Sean coming out at the end there, like he was suspended in real life.
Exactly.
And then he kept the belt, and then it kind of leads to the WrestleMania match that they have.
But here's what's so funny. So the referee got knocked out. And, that's all the chicanery happened. And Sean coming in eventually.
Yeah.
So IRS gets the pin. And it's the slow count. 1, 2, 3. Now, I want to see if you noticed this, DK. The bell never rang.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
It never rang. It's like there's a 3 count.
Was there a mistake here? Was the ref, what was Scott supposed to kick out? Was the ref supposed to not count 3? Like in '94, I don't think they didn't ring the bell because they forgot to ring the bell. I think there was never supposed to be a 3 count.
Right.
So someone screwed up there. And I definitely noticed that.
So as IRS is celebrating, Earl Hebner runs into the ring and he's like, "Hey, you dumbass, look, there's one belt in the ring and then the other belt's on the outside of the ring." So while that's going on, Razor gets the Razor's Edge on IRS. 1, 2, 3. Bell does not ring again. Maybe the timekeeper was off tonight.
Maybe the timekeeper went to the washroom or something.
He might have. I gave this a C.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I thought it was, not the greatest match. I like the ending.
Yeah,
setting up. And then you think about it, like if Sean doesn't get suspended for being a '90s dick, like we've talked about a million times on this podcast, do they have a ladder match with 2 belts hanging up? Do they do a ladder match if there was only 1 belt? Maybe not. This was the whole thing about who is the real Intercontinental Champion. So maybe Sean, being a jerk, turns into one of our top 10 WrestleMania matches that we did last year on the show. So
do we even have the ladder match?
That's kind of what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
Like, do you have a ladder match if it's just an IC championship match at WrestleMania? Right. Maybe it's his regular match, and then it's one of the best matches ever. So Thanks, Shawn, for being a dick in '93.
Yeah, on this one, yeah, absolutely.
I usually don't thank Shawn Michaels for a lot of stuff he did in the '90s, but
All right.
so
So now we get a video package for the upcoming WWF Championship match. And it felt like almost half of this was spent at Undertaker's place, because it's like week by week, Undertaker's making the casket, and Paul Bearer's like, "Oh, we've got a Christmas gift," and then Undertaker's like, "Ho, ho, ho."
but he's like banging a fucking thing.
Yes,
I loved it.
and then they
You had to make a
show,
big casket, right?
yeah,
Yes.
this is a huge casket. It's a double deep, double wide casket. And then we get the part where Cornette's like, "Hey, we signed the contract. When we signed the contract, there was nothing on it. It was just Yokozuna and Undertaker. And then Paul Bearer put this thing in the contract where to win, you got to put your person in a box, because he won't say the word in front of Yokozuna. Yokozuna's scared."
Yeah.
And then Yokozuna tries to break the casket. Undertaker pops out. This scares Yokozuna, which basically leads us to the casket match for the WWF title, Yokozuna and the Undertaker. And I'm going to let you take this one to start, because obviously I have a lot to say.
Man, I feel like we've talked about this moment so many times. Poor young Bill.
Yep.
Probably needing hugs from his mom to go to bed after the Royal Rumble and after Mark Calloway scared the living shit out of him. Thanks, Mark. But
Thank you, Mark.
yeah, I honestly think this match gets overvalued.
Okay.
Like, and I've seen it like a few times, and when the entrances start, I'm like excited to watch it. This is for the championship. It's the Undertaker versus Yokozuna. Yokozuna had been champion since WrestleMania, right?
June, I think.
June, yeah, when he won it back from Hogan. I forgot about Hogan ruining WrestleMania 9 for a second there. But I don't know. Every heel in the entire company helps Yokozuna in this match. Did they have to have so many guys?
Well, I mean, it's no disqualification.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so, okay. My thought on the match was, okay, so I never thought The Undertaker would win the title when I first watched this.
Okay.
Like when I watched it live, I didn't know how they were. I didn't see The Undertaker as a defending WWF champion at WrestleMania. It just, you never had to have The Undertaker as the champion, like we've talked about before. So I'm like, Yokozuna's going to win this somehow. But I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of how they did it.
Right.
And it's kind of funny how, like, when Undertaker comes back, he doesn't really exact revenge on everybody that did this to him. Is this kind of like the Yokozuna thing? So I give this match a D+. I'm not a huge fan of it overall, but the promo at the end in the casket and like kind of how they killed the Undertaker basically. In '94 it was done pretty well, I thought. So for the whole storyline purposes, probably give this like a B grade, but for the actual in-ring match with all the shenanigans, probably a D+ for me.
Okay, so I did notice while watching this match, they each take an unprotected chair shot to the head.
Yeah.
I mean, they both took one.
Taker took a big one.
Yeah, they did. And then when the people start coming in, if it had been like 2 or 3, it'd be like, okay, that kind of makes sense. But it ended up being like 9 or 10 guys in there. And I'm watching this, and I'm actually thinking back, I'm thinking back to what me as a kid would be saying to me as an adult. Me as a kid would have been like, oh, Undertaker's fine. He can do this. He's got powers. He doesn't need any help. Whereas me as an adult is like, where the hell is everybody else? Are they not going to help this guy? This guy's getting murdered, figuratively, not literally, in the ring. And then it's like Undertaker just fights them off for as long as he can, and then the green smoke comes out, which that was kind of a little bit of overkill, I thought maybe.
Yeah.
But to Taker's credit, he did take those moves like a champ, like the splashes and all that. He's just like, I'm gonna give this match a little bit of a higher grade than you, but then I'm gonna tell you what I would have done as Booker, because I told you I have this thought. So I actually gave this a B minus. This was kind of an entertaining match. It's just, it's not childish because you have someone fighting off like he's supposed to be the hero trying to fight off everyone. It's just he can't. So then the promo, like DK said, when he wakes up, that's the part that scares me.
Yeah, I love hearing that. Oh my
god. And then he ascends into heaven, allegedly. Although I heard at one point, I don't know how true it is. It may be true. That was Marty Jannetty doing that part.
I actually heard on the Bruce Pritchard podcast that a lot of people think it was Marty Jannetty. It was just some local guy.
Oh, okay.
I guess. Maybe it was Tim White. No, that's a Tim White.
Nice, too short.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I would have done. Because part of this stems from a few years ago when myself and Jim, we did the Royal Rumble podcast. That's correct. I did say Jim. No. We watched the Japan Royal Rumble, which they did like in a tour of Japan, like a few months after this Royal Rumble happens. And Undertaker is on that show. And I think that match is up on YouTube if you guys want to watch it. It's actually pretty decent. So watching it, I was like, man, you know what would have been a great storyline is if everyone one by one got attacked and nobody knew who did it. It'd just be like a mysterious thing.
Yeah.
And then this is where I kind of go a little bit overboard. I'll be honest, where I go overboard. I would have had the baby faces get beat up as well. Be like, oh, we have reports that Billy Gunn was beat up in the locker room. Nobody saw who it was. And then it could be like Undertaker's way of like, you guys never helped me, so I'm beating you up.
Well, then that's like Undertaker turning heel. Because
but he's also beating up the heels as well.
He's a babyface dead man. Kind of weird, but
I don't know. That's just
we kind of had like, which Undertaker was it?
Exactly. There you go. There you go.
They could rebook this territory for sure.
We got the book.
Yeah.
Let us do it.
That 94 was a fun year, honestly. Like, it's fun reminiscing.
It is actually, like, thinking about it now, going back, watching WrestleMania last year and then doing the Rumble, if you ignore the cartoon stuff, this is actually a pretty fun year.
Yep.
Oh, and Vince gets tried by the U.S. government as well. So, it's a picture perfect year.
Vince was probably loving that.
All right. So we do have promos for the Royal Rumble match. And we have now the big story going in, like prior to the show starting, is Luger's in the Rumble. He had to convince Jack Tunney to let him in the Rumble because it's the whole story of he had one shot at Yokozuna, didn't win the belt, can't get another shot. So they do this 900 number where it's like, convince Jack Tunney to let him in. And
Jeez.
Luger, yeah, Luger
$5.99 a minute or something, right?
So Luger gets put in.
So Vince paid the government, probably.
Yeah. But at the same time, Fuji was allowed 2 people of his choosing to be in. So it's kind of like a trade-off.
Yeah.
So that's prior to the show. Then you get during the show, Bret Hart's injured. Is he gonna make it to the match?
Yeah.
So, and this is something I learned from doing the Rumble podcast. Some of the better Rumbles are the ones that have a story during the show that go into the match. So,
it's like sometimes when I rewatch a Rumble, they foreshadow the winner too much for me. But on this one,
they didn't.
Like, well, they kind of foreshadow Brett and they foreshadow Luger about,
but it's kind of like
all the stuff they had to. Yeah, well, that's the exciting part because they foreshadow Brett. Oh, he's injured. Will he make it? Like there's a point where Vince says, I think that was Brett. This is too bad.
Right.
And with Luger, they foreshadow it too. So you're kind of like, maybe Brett, maybe Luger, maybe somebody else. Like there wasn't really one guy that stuck out.
Exactly. So for the purposes of saving time, we are not going to go through every single participant.
Oh man.
So Scott Steiner and Samu start the match.
Yeah.
And Samu gets eliminated right away because he felt bad for what he did to the Undertaker. So he tried to hang himself in between the ropes, which was a freaky looking spot. I mean,
yeah,
that was like another level of Cactus Jack right there.
And I guess the creative team wanted Rick and Scott to start, but that's the same story where Vince says brothers don't fight, pal. Like, yeah, they do. Like that would have been so cool. And there was a point in this match at the very beginning where Scott is a little bit in trouble at the beginning, and then Rick comes out and he doesn't like run to the ring to help his brother. He's like high-fiving fans and saying hi and like, hey, what's up? Here I go. He ends up helping him once he gets in the ring. But
so one of the things that we do get are a lot of alternates for this.
Yeah.
So Quang makes his debut at the show.
And that's Savio Vega, right?
It is Savio Vega.
That's what I thought.
This was supposed to be Ludwig Borga, I believe. Yeah. So, we have our first substitution. Diesel comes out and he starts to eliminate everyone in the ring.
Yeah, this is coming out party.
And you could tell, when he is finally out, the fans cheering for him. And I think Vince was like, they seem to really like him. I think we're going to push him. So at one point, I think Backlund's the next one, and he actually makes a good attempt at eliminating Diesel, but can't do it.
Yeah.
Virgil is still there. I thought he had left.
He replaced somebody too, right?
Yeah, he replaced Kamala.
Yeah, because Ted DiBiase was like, it seemed like he was shocked to see Virgil. And then, he goes into heel mode as a commentator.
He was like, he had it good until he left me, Vince. He had it good. So then, while Diesel is waiting, we get footage that Lex Luger has been attacked by Mr. Fuji's guns for hire.
This is the first foreshadow for Luger.
So now you're like, okay, great. Brett's hurt. Luger's hurt. What's gonna happen?
Mm.
So then Savage comes out next. He gets a great ovation, a very good one. Then we get to a point where the big men are in the ring. You got Diesel, you got Crush, you got Bam Bam Bigelow, who probably is a co-MVP of this show because this is his third time out tonight.
Is it me or is there like 25 heels in this Rumble?
It felt like
Seems like a lot more heels than babies.
And then you have Mabel out.
Oh man. I guess he was a babyface here though, right?
He is.
He was still in the tag team.
Yep. And then we get the debut of Sparky Plug.
Yeah, wasn't he called something else? Like he wasn't Bob Holly. He was like Thurman or something.
Thurman Sparky Plug.
Oh man, hardcore Thurman.
Now,
surprised he dropped that name.
To be fair to him, they had aired vignettes of him, so his debut was coming eventually.
Yeah.
However, his debut had to be pushed up because the 1-2-3 Kid was hurt on that Garden show before the Rumble.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So now, he's in there, and he's in there a long time, actually. I'm looking at it. He's in that match for 21 minutes.
Sparky Plug.
And he had 3 eliminations. Oh my God, I did not realize he had 3 eliminations in this match.
Nice.
Greg Valentine is number 20.
That shocked me. I thought he was gone at like 92.
He got a good ovation on that one.
When I saw him come out, I was like, "Holy shit!"
Holy crap, he's still around.
It's like my favorite part of the Royal Rumble. Like when I watch old ones with my daughter, she does the countdown like the crowd does,
right?
And then they come out. I'm like, who is it? Because like up until before '96, there was no music, so you didn't know who it was. You had to actually pay attention. Now, I kind of like when the music would play because then you'd hear that pop of like the next track coming out. But sometimes it was like even better when guy would just walk through and then the announcer would say who it was, and you're like, oh, yeah, let's go.
So we get to a big moment. Number 23, Lex Luger comes out, and he looks like he was never attacked.
Yeah, he seemed fine. He was no selling that wherever he got hurt.
Yeah, he was. Then we get another moment. Number 25, no one comes out. And Vince is like, this must have been Bret Hart's number. Like,
well, if you liked him so much, you shouldn't have screwed him over.
Yep.
3 years later, yeah, jerk. Even though I took Vince aside on the last episode.
And then we get to number 27.
The best number to have.
Yeah, this is the best number to have.
And that's the number I want for the Royal Rumble roulette. So you can just
Bret
give it
Hart.
to me. It's Bret the Hitman Hart.
And the crowd goes crazy.
And he's selling.
Yes!
He's selling his injury.
Yes.
Lex, learn something.
Yes. He sells it like a million. That's why I said co-MVP with Bigelow, because Bret's the other one.
Yeah.
By a
he limps all the way. I think 28 was coming out before he got in a ring.
So I want to mention real quick, because I think when number 30 comes out, there's almost like 13 or 14 guys in the ring.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the final 10, and because again, Royal Rumble podcast, Mo from Men on a Mission is among the final 10 in the Royal Rumble. Mo could have won this thing, DK. Mo could have gone to WrestleMania.
And what's funny about Mo's stats? I think he was in there over 20 minutes with 0 eliminations.
Hey, he was doing his job, damn it.
I couldn't believe that when I was looking at all the stats. I'm like, that might be the most fantastic stat of all time. Like that's like being on the ice in a hockey game and not having like a shot on goal.
Not even touching the
Something.
puck.
Not even touching the puck, like just skating around, avoiding everybody, like pulling a Jerry Lawler. Like, but he didn't hide out of the ring or do anything. Like,
he was in there. He fought everybody.
I'm gonna say, okay, there's 3 MVPs. Okay, hear me out. I think he was in for like 21 minutes, something like that. I don't have numbers in front of me. 0 eliminations. That's freaking hilarious.
And he's in the final 10. He's in the top 10.
Mo. It could have been Mo versus Yokozuna at WrestleMania.
You know what we could
That
have
would have been
had?
awesome.
You know what we could have had? We could have had a moment.
Oh man, that is legendary. You know what I would love to see one year?
What?
Just like have the biggest jobber like win the Royal Rumble.
Oh my god!
Like okay, so this year, like everyone expects Cody Rhodes or some returning star to win.
Yeah, let me take a look at the.
Just have Xavier Woods win the Royal Rumble. I'm not saying he's a jobber because he's not.
No.
But that would be mind blowing. Just have some guy that you would never expect to win. And if he goes to WrestleMania and loses to Roman Reigns in 5 seconds, okay. But it's still like a moment that wrestling fans would never forget. I always like every year you can kind of look at the field and there's probably 5 guys of the 30 that are going to win. Like, okay, that would have been sick.
So the roster for the men, as of this recording, is not big. But I'll tell you who I would like to see in that role for this year. Akira Tozawa. Oh, yeah. I would love to see that because Tozawa's good. He's good.
Yeah. Or like in 96, like Barry Horowitz like eliminates Shawn Michaels. That would have been like the greatest moment in history of wrestling.
And then we have Hava Nagila playing as the crowd scratches their head.
Then you Barry Horowitz versus Bret Hart in Iron Man match. Who was the one? You wouldn't want to watch that. Bret would probably win 59-0, but wouldn't have mattered. Just he's tapping out to the sharpshooter again. It's 17-2. Like that is like excellent TV. Honestly, this is why I'm not a writer for the WWE because this is what would happen.
You know, I like Barry, so I didn't put 60 on him.
Yeah,
you know, I didn't want to do it to him. I really liked him.
Oh, man.
No, actually, have you heard Bret saying this was a few months ago, but now's a good time to bring it up. He thinks Barry Horowitz should be in the Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame.
Well, everyone else is in there, so might as well.
My same thought.
Like, you know, every year,
like Barry. I like
every
Barry.
year at this time we start doing our Hall of Fame debates, and we get into it. It's good times.
I put in a vote for Barry.
Yeah, like do they have like a jobber wing or something?
I mean, SD Jones is in. Why not Barry Horowitz?
How is Doink the Clown not in?
There's like a million different versions of Doink. Which one are you gonna really put in, DK?
Just put in Doink the Clown. You don't have to
universally
played him. Like freaking Pete Rose is in the Hall of Fame, not the one he wants to be in.
Right.
But he's in the WWE Hall of Fame. So that's cool.
Have you heard the legend of Alabama Doink?
I think I have heard little bits of this.
Yeah, we need to. If Doink gets in, we need Alabama Doink in.
Maybe Alabama Doink could be our next review, show here.
All right. Okay, so let's get to the final 4. We're getting a little carried away here.
A little bit.
So
that's okay, though.
Oh no, it's fine.
That's what we do on this show.
That's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
So our final 4, all of them, I think you'd expect to be there. Bret Hart, Lex Luger, Shawn Michaels, and Fatu.
Oh, yeah.
Head shrinker Fatu.
Yeah. Rikishi, basically. You know, turns into Rikishi later.
So, Bret and Lex eliminate both Fatu and Shawn. It comes down to Bret and Lex. The crowd's pumped up. 8-year-old me was pumped up because I wanted Lex to win.
That's disappointing.
I was 8.
God, yeah, well, you're American. You just you want the Canadians to lose,
Plus, my
like in the
sisters like
Olympics.
Bret Hart. My sisters
Yeah.
thought Bret was cute, so I had to go against them.
This is
So
one thing before we go too ahead here.
yeah,
Like, okay, so Sean's in the final four in this Rumble, and then he wins the next two.
yeah.
People don't like when you're talking about like Royal Rumble guys, like top,
He's
like
one of the best.
Shawn Michaels is or Steve Austin's number one, and I don't think they talked about Shawn as much as they probably should.
Sean's one of the best.
Yeah. 94, yeah, final four.
3 years in a row.
I probably wouldn't have expected that going into the Rumble.
Yeah.
That Shawn, where he was in his career, would be in that spot. It probably should have been Mo. But, you know.
So Bret and Lex, they're fighting. They go to the ropes, and they both go out of the ring. Wait a minute.
It was all Bret. It was perfect.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
How they did it.
Yes.
Lex he sat there, or he stood
went
there
for the ride.
Yeah,
He
I guess
went for the ride.
according to the rumors, they practiced it once earlier in the day, and it was so good how they did it.
Like, and I'm not bashing any wrestler today, because I'm not. I try to watch, like, I watch AEW and try to watch as much WWE as I can. I don't believe if you could pick any two wrestlers today could pull off that same ending, or even in the past, I don't think you could have picked any two to try to be like, okay, you do what Bret and Lex did in '94. Let's see.
I think like AJ and Seth could probably do it. They're pretty good.
Those maybe the closest.
I see the point you're making. So it was just incredible, and if you watch it back, it's all Bret.
Oh my God, yeah.
Bret is in control of everything. He like hooks Lex's leg, does a complete flip over. So, and then he almost hooks Lex's leg so his foot won't touch before they both touch. It's wicked how they do it. I still don't get why they did it this way and why they didn't just have one of them win. Because they're both baby faces.
I think I know why. I think.
Okay.
Which we'll get to in a minute.
Okay.
So the referees are discussing. It's Earl Hebner and Joey Marella, the same two that were talking about the Intercontinental title earlier. So, you know,
these guys can't agree all night.
Yeah, exactly. So we go to Howard Finkel. He announces the winner of the Rumble. It's Lex Luger. Luger wins. They're playing his song. And there are people cheering, but there are also people booing with this. Yeah. Then the music stops. And Earl Hebner's there. And he's like, no. Then we go to Finkel. Winner of the Royal Rumble is Bret Hart's music plays. And the crowd pops big. It's like, Bret won. And then the music stops again. It's like, okay.
We don't know who won.
What's going on here?
We need a challenge flag.
Yeah, exactly. In '94. So each referee, you know, they go with their guy. So now we have Jack Tunney coming out. A rare pay-per-view Jack Tunney sighting in 1994. Because he was probably gambling backstage. And he's like, damn it, I have to go fix this. Hold on a minute. Hold my mind. So as they're trying to figure this out, we get replays of the elimination. So you see the first one. Can't quite tell what it was or who it was. Then we get a second replay. Can't quite tell who it was. Then we have a third replay. Can't quite tell who it was. So then Howard Finkel gets in the ring because he's pissed that he has to get back in the ring. And
God damn it, someone tell me what to say.
So then he's like, the winner of the 1994 Royal Rumble. He hesitates.
And he's like, what?
Come on! Like, come on! And then And then we get one more replay of one of the shots that we saw earlier. And then Howard makes the announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the 1994 WWF Royal Rumble, the winners are Lex Luger and Bret Hitman Hart. And then they play the WrestleMania theme. And I like Ted DiBiase's reaction. He's like, "What?" We have co-winners.
Mm.
And then after they meet up in the middle of the ring, they shake hands. Bret signs a poster. We go through the highlight package. And then at the end, Vince is like, okay, we've got it. We've got the definitive look. This is going to tell us who won it. It's the same damn one you showed us 5 minutes ago.
Well, I think they had like a camera on the other side, and they wanted to make sure that they both touched at the same time before they showed it on TV.
Exactly.
So once they reviewed that, then they're like, "Oh, yeah, we can show this now."
Yeah, we can do this. Okay. Let's talk about what we thought of the match, and then we'll get to some extra stuff.
Well, I think the MVP of the match was Diesel.
Yeah.
Like, that was his coming out party. He had 7 eliminations. I think there was another guy that had 6.
Let me look that up. I have.
It was kind of a surprising guy.
Luger had 6.
It was Luger?
Bigelow had 5 eliminations.
Yeah, that's what it was. Bigelow was pretty big in the Royal Rumble too. I thought it was a pretty good Royal Rumble because like we didn't really know, there wasn't a definitive favorite.
Mm-hmm.
That's always important to me if you listen to the show. Not knowing who's going to win is like being surprised is the best part of being a wrestling fan.
Yes.
And in this one, like Luger and Bret were kind of the two babyface is here. And maybe for them both to tie would kind of like give like Vince. I think this is what the plan was. Okay, we'll have them tie, and then we'll kind of see who gets the reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And watching it back, Bret got the bigger reaction.
He did.
So I think at that point they're like, okay, well, we'll have Luger face Yokozuna first, and he'll lose, and then because they don't like to do the babyface versus babyface too often,
or brothers.
Yeah,
Lex and Bret became brothers at the end of the night.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
We're not gonna do brothers. Brothers love each other.
And then Bret gets the title win over Yokozuna after what happened the year before. So I kind of think that's the reason they did the tie, is because they didn't really know where they were going to go, and it's kind of a smart way to book it.
Yeah,
like because they had done the Lex Express the summer before.
Mm-hmm.
He was supposed to have his crowning achievement at the SummerSlam that year. And I know I said the SummerSlam. I'm Canadian. That's what we do.
I wasn't even paying attention. So.
Okay. And so that's kind of maybe they frowned a little bit on Lex, but they still invested all this stuff into like the American hero Lex Luger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because he had been a narcissist before that. And now Hogan left, so they needed the next one. And I really think they thought Luger was going to be that guy. But then they kind of transitioned to Bret Hart, which I think is probably a good thing for them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my thinking. I liked the Rumble. It was entertaining. I gave it a B+. It's pretty much tied for the best grade for me. I still liked the Bret Hart Owen match with the Quebecers as my top match, but Rumble would definitely be second.
Something that we forgot to mention that we should mention now is this is the first time that they don't do every 2 minutes.
Yeah,
They
like a
changed it
minute and a
to,
half.
yeah, 90 seconds.
Yeah.
The beginning until Diesel gets there is a little bit slow,
Yeah,
which is okay for this
but
kind of,
sometimes that's good.
yeah, which this was. Once Diesel came in and he starts eliminating everyone, it's like, okay, we have a serious contender here to win it. Like,
Yeah.
he probably wasn't one of the favorites, but then during it, you're like, oh God, he could win this.
Hmm.
And then you have, the Lex storyline, the Brett storyline before and then during, which can make or break a Rumble. In this one, it definitely made it. You had some very good performances in the match. I know we joked about Mo, but like Bigelow, Shawn Michaels, Sparky Plug was in there for 20 minutes on his debut night in the company. That
Yeah.
that tells you something.
There was a
Fatu,
lot of, I think there was about half the Rumble roster that was in there almost 20 minutes. There was a
Fatu
lot of,
was in the final four.
yeah,
Who would have thought? Um, I I the ending is one of the most original endings I think I've ever seen to a match, period. Because you don't ever think with either a battle royal or a Royal Rumble of that type, there's gonna be a tie. You just don't think that at all.
what's a
And
risky finish, right?
it's very risky. Because
So they had a guy they trusted in Brett
yeah,
to do it, but that's probably why you don't see it very often.
because if you like, okay, if you do this ending, just in general, and it doesn't work, you're talking about one of the worst endings ever to a Rumble.
Yeah, like 2005.
However, well, that one was an accident from what I had heard.
Yeah, it
Which is,
was an accident, but
yeah.
like they both went out accidentally.
But like we said, you had the two right people to do that ending. Perfect scenario, perfect situation. It's a 1 in a million shot that it gets pulled off like it did. And I'm kind of glad that WWFE, whatever you want to call it, never went to the well with that again. Because, and we didn't talk about it with Montreal, but I guess we could talk about it now. There was a point for like 5, 6 years in a row at Survivor Series. Somebody got screwed at Survivor Series. And it's like, okay, now you're just beating a dead horse.
Yep.
Whereas with the Rumble, this is the only time they ever planned this. Cena and Batista was a complete accident. We all know that. That
Yep.
was not meant to happen. WWE has not tried it since. And I'm kind of glad they haven't, but at the same time, I'm kind of surprised they haven't done it, especially since they've done the 2-night WrestleManias and being like, oh, what if there's a situation where it ends in a tie, and you give, both guys get the shot,
I'm
something that,
glad you said that because with Reigns having two titles, like this
exactly,
could almost be something that happens this year
like,
where
if,
he
if
has to
you're
defend it twice.
like, if you want to do it, this could be the year to do it. I'm not saying they should. Hunter,
Yeah,
if you're watching, don't do what I'm saying. Please don't.
and that would probably be Cody and Seth for me if
But
there was going to be a tie.
but with that said, I'm going to give this a B. This is my second favorite match. This is my number 2. The tag title match was just so good.
Yeah,
But no, this was a very fun match to watch. I actually kind of forgot how fun this was actually. So, I do want to mention one thing that I kind of laugh at every time I saw this headline every once in a while. During the Rumble, again, this is another thing we didn't get a chance to talk about, but it's okay because, this is not an important thing. Before the match started and during the match, they had, a hotline for the Royal Rumble. You could call the 900 number and get to hear who's coming next before everybody in the arena and people watching it know who's coming out next. Well, your friend and my friend DK, Dave Meltzer, at the time called this the most tasteless promotional thing ever in the history of wrestling.
Wow, that's quite the take. I don't agree with Dave Meltzer very often, but I'll say, like, I don't know why you would want to know who the next guy is.
Yeah.
It's like calling, like, okay, that's like you're watching the Super Bowl. Oh, you can call and find out who scores the next touchdown.
Right.
Like besides gambling purposes, why would anyone want to know?
Exactly.
That's why we sit and watch sporting events and wrestling matches.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, tell me who the next 5 guys are so I can go outside and
then like a few weeks later when your mom and dad open up that phone bill and they see like $300. Who the hell was calling?
I think I called the Superstar line and talked to Sonny a couple times.
Somebody was getting their ass beat.
It wasn't her talking ever. It was just a recording. So I don't know if anyone actually talked to anybody on the Superstar line because I sure didn't get through to anybody.
Now kind of going full circle with Radio WWF, I would have liked to have heard the JR Gorilla reaction to the co-winners being announced. Especially Gorilla.
No, I know JR didn't have his cowboy hat on.
No, not at this time.
For this. So if you wanted to do a JR impression for who would win this, like, call the iconic ending, you don't have to put your hat on this time. I'm not saying you have to do it. But.
They both went over, Gorilla. They both went to the floor. Oh, they sure did, Jim. They both went to the floor. Who's the winner? I don't know. Maybe there's no winner this year. Maybe we don't get a WrestleMania.
Yeah. Jesus. For radio.
And then when they do announce, it's like, what the hell is this, Jim Ross? This is some serious bullshit.
Exactly. But
so FCC ever got involved with the radio.
In the whole scheme of things here, I think the only match we kind of disagree on slightly is the title match.
Yeah.
Everything else is and I'm probably grading a little tough on that one. Just because, like, in my head, it's like this iconic casket match, and it should be like a 5-star or A+ type match, and I'm just like, it's not that good. But
overall, this is a fun show to watch. This actually aged well.
I'm glad it won, and it was fun to talk about. So I'll probably say like a C+ overall for the show. A couple B's in there. I had a D+ in the title match, so yeah, probably C+ overall grade.
I'd say we're about close.
Probably should be higher, maybe B-.
Yeah, maybe a B- for me.
Good grade.
Mm-hmm.
One of the better Royal Rumbles in this era.
It kind of gets overlooked because 92 happened a couple years prior.
Yeah, 92 was.
And then you have like 93, which is ignored, and then the next year is like the every 1 minute, but it's Sean and Davey Boy going wire to wire, so it kind of gets lost, but it's actually pretty good, this one.
Yeah.
So now we have one more thing to discuss. Whose career are we going to discuss next? And we're only doing a Royal Rumble winner. Now you said you had someone.
Yeah, I had someone in mind because I think the story's kind of cool, and it's kind of all over the place, which is surprising how they do it. Did you have someone in mind,
It's
or do
gonna
you want me
depend.
to?
It's gonna depend on who you say.
Okay, so
And I also have to check if we've done this person as well. So,
this guy came back from a horrific injury. He left as a heel, came back as a babyface. Triple H, 2002 to I'll say since he's such an iconic wrestler, this is going to be kind of like 2002 to 2003. It's going to be a 2 year window of Triple
okay.
H, returning from, and we'll probably start when he returns in late 2001, I think it was.
Okay.
And then he wins the Rumble in '02, and he goes on to WrestleMania 18. And then he kind of turns into a heel there in the summertime, and then in 2003 is kind of a big year for him as the world heavyweight champion. So I'm looking forward. We haven't talked Triple H yet.
No, we have not.
Um, this is probably going to be similar to Undertaker and The Rock as we've done, where we're going to do multiple episodes because it's hard to get a guy like that's entire career into a podcast, or we'd be sitting here for 6 hours. So this one, since we're doing Royal Rumble, I thought it was an iconic win. So 2002 to 2003. So we'll do the 2 years and then the
Okay.
build up. That's if
I
it wins. We'll see. We'll see what you do here.
I'm actually kind of glad you chose him because that was not who I thought you were gonna pick.
Okay.
I did have. Hold on. There we
I
go.
did have another guy. I was kind of going back and forth there, but I did make that choice yesterday on Triple H.
So I wanted to do someone who is a big part of the '90s for WWF, and
Okay.
I was like, we haven't done many big men. Like we've done Andre, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So my pick is Yokozuna,
Nice.
and we would do 93 to 96 because
Okay.
93 is when he starts to become the main guy,
Yeah.
and then go to the end 96, which is the last time he's on WWF TV. So
Yeah.
so you have quite a choice, folks. You can either go for the game or Yokozuna, and that'll be our next episode. And
And
I
then
think
once again, we can discuss the Undertaker's promo that scared the living shit out of Bill. He always finds a way to get that into the shows, and I
once a
love it.
year,
And
once a
it's
year.
like some people say, "Oh, you guys talk about the same stuff a lot." Like, well, because it all like interacts with each other.
It does.
Like, we can't skip over iconic moments in the Attitude Era because we talked about it on this episode or whatever.
So
So
so we will put the poll up probably by the time you guys wake up today or tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this. Whoever wins, that's our next episode. And we're going to preview the Royal Rumble as well. Because I'll be honest. I'm going to say it now. The build up to this Rumble, with the exception of Roman Reigns and KO, has kind of felt lazy to me.
yeah,
Because
it's not getting me excited.
and you're going to the Alamo Dome and you've almost sold out the building. And it's like, wow, you guys really aren't doing much on
Well,
this.
I think a reason for that is I think there's going to be a lot of different returns, and they don't want to waste it by pumping it up on a Raw or SmackDown.
True.
I think there could be some legends returning, and and it's gonna be fun to break down that pay-per-view because, like, at this moment, I don't know who I would even pick to win both Royal Rumbles. I'm gonna pick Roman Reigns to continue his run because
yeah,
I don't see them having this iconic thing and to KO at a Royal Rumble. But
even though we all
stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yep, exactly.
But
so
thanks everybody for
yeah.
listening.
And next week me and him, we start our road to WrestleMania.
And I'm going to make a bold statement here.
Okay.
I think Yokozuna is going to run away with this one.
He might.
I really do. Now, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk Triple H, but I think it's a more compelling story of Yokozuna coming from where he came from to becoming the number one guy.
Yeah.
And it's a cool years that we're going to do there too. Mm-hmm. Kind of when I was just kind of really getting into wrestling.
Yeah.
So thanks again, everybody.
All right. We'll talk to y'all later.